I have the napkin wet and wrung out as well. Now I'm going to start touching up the brush a little bit. Note, I am not painting individual dots that are not connected. The strokes need to be applied closer together. I'm trying not to work close to the edges yet. Let the lilac color be the color here. At this point, I've taken cerulean and some carmine paint. I'm adding this color here on the tips of the lilacs. Here, I'd like to keep this lighter shade, and here too. So I'm going to go over the paint just a little bit. This is the piece I want to make more compact, so I'm going to ignore it for now. I'm going to add a little bit of the darker mixture to the mixture I just painted with. We don't really need a sharp transition here, but we're still going to have more layers. I wanted to make this sprig darker. I'm making these movements. I don't plan on leaving this white piece here, to be honest. This sprig is quite dark and it's in the background. I paint with light touches, small dots. But I can see that they spread out. I don't have a kind of rash of small dots. I distribute the dots in such a way that they almost fill the spot. This dark color is the driest. I don't need a dense shadow with a very sharp edge at this stage. I'm not striving to make this shadow. The paper can dry quite quickly, so I'll run closer to the edges. The paper is already drying here. I want to introduce a little yellow-green color here. I wash off the purple from the brush and I'm going to take a delicate lettuce color, and I add it in little strokes like this. I'm making different sizes of stains so that this color is not applied in the same stain. I can see now that the lemon paint has done a good job. I want to take the green and ochre on the tip of the brush a little bit and muted the lemon color. There's a slight green in this area. The paint isn't dry yet, so I can drip another color over some of it, and it will break up the first color a little bit. This is where you can work until you have paper starting to dry. If you see that nothing is floating anymore, then you need to stop. I'm going to have a shadow at this point. I can do it later as well. I add a blue ultramarine. It's peeking through inside the lilacs. Here I don't have any more paint flowing. The edge is crisp. I was planning to paint this branch clearly. That's why it's good that it turned out this way. The paper has dried here too. Now I'm going to add a medium tone to these areas. I'm going to add more ultramarine, but not very dark. Like I said, I don't want to do the edges that are close to the mug. Watch how I use the brush. It's like I'm dancing with it or like I'm trying to make some crosses. Somewhere the strokes turn into obscure crosses and somewhere into dots. Somewhere I'm scrubbing these strokes. At the same time, I still have the manner of a peculiar, not perfect stroke. With this manner of execution, you should not have identical and clear spots. Somewhere they've shifted into a tight bunch, and somewhere they're a little scattered. Somewhere they look like a small scattering. That's it. Then I'm going to re-moisten the paper here and re-detail. I could work on this, but it's dried up. It's dry here too, so we'll work on the background later. My hands can't stop. I almost want to paint all the lilacs at once. Okay, I have to stop. I promised this would be a separate fill. I really like painting lilacs. It's very easy for me. When I paint a peony, I'm always in doubt about what to finish the edges of the bouquets and how to emphasize the background. In such cases, I usually draw sprigs or bunches of wildflowers, which consist of very small flowers. Or I add lilacs, hydrangeas. They can be drawn indistinctly in the far background. Lilacs or hydrangeas can be drawn in conditional spots. They are well recognized and complement the distant plans very well. Okay, I suggest we start with the cup to balance the drawing. Then we'll add a pattern to the cup and draw shadows if we need to. Now let's draw the cup so that these two parts of the drawing touch each other. I have a draft. I'm going to show it to you now. I showed it to my students once. Here I sketched the lilacs and the cup very quickly. Then we would detail and refine this draft. We need to get the cup in here now. I'm going to turn the palette over. We've already taken apart the white color. Our ceramic cup has a light color. I've already touched on the concept of a hemisphere. The cup looks as if the top of the sphere has been cut off, leaving a semicircle. Here the cup has a light part, then a half shadow, and then there is a shadow. The shadow goes, as I have already said, in a crescent, in an arc. It starts here and goes down to the bottom. It is arranged in this stroke. The lightest part is closer to the edge, but not quite at the edge. There is a mid-tone penumbra between the shadow and the light. Toward this edge, it's the same. Both shadow and light are not at the very edges. At the edges are already reflexes and so forth. My leaf is a little bit curved, then it will dry and it will be very straight again. In terms of color, I would use Naples paint for this type of ceramics for the first base fill. When painting with watercolor, there is a technique called Alla Prima. In this technique, all the fills are made at once. At such work, watercolor does not forgive unnecessary long manipulations. Watercolor blurs and solidifies as it should. Light color goes to dark, you add accents and leave the watercolor alone. If you want to add something, it is less risky and more correct to wait until it is completely dry. You need to dry the paper well, not prying when everything is still wet and starting to tack. Once completely dry, you need to wet the paper one more time and get a second chance to refine something in the drawing. We often have to wet it one more time. When we have cotton paper, we can blow dry with a hairdryer when drying so we don't have to wait. Cotton paper dries so that you can then go over it again with a flat paintbrush with water carefully. The soft fibers of the flat paintbrush do not disturb the dried layer, and we can continue to work once again on the wet paper. I need a spot. I'm not going to do anything with this bunch for now. I'll come back to it when it's dry. I'll work here for now. I'm going to take a neutral shade of lilac and start shaping the spot. I create as uneven an edge as possible with the brush. Somewhere I add water and smudge. Somewhere I take a brighter shade again and fill in. I'm working with a wet spot, but the edges are not blurred. I'm trying to create my contour. With this shadow, I've now separated one bunch from the other quite nicely. Of course, that's why the contrast is going to be turned down a bit. Here we're trying these strokes. I'll try to show you on a blank paper. I'm showing what I'm doing on a raw sheet of paper so that you can understand. These are the strokes. It is necessary to make a general shape somewhere, and somewhere the strokes start to dance. The strokes don't have to be separate. Somewhere they are generalized, somewhere there are breaks, somewhere there are jagged edges like inflorescences. You need to learn how to do that. For example, if the pattern is too bright, you can smooth it out a bit with white pigment. So, let's see what we got. In my opinion, we got a beautiful, gorgeous bouquet. I'm trying to take the tape off, but the table's shaking. So I'll take the tape off later. I think this lesson was helpful to you. You have already tried or will still try to draw these lilac branches from the general to the particular. We tried drawing them on both wet paper and dry on wet technique. We practiced once again making the shape of the cup, showing its volume and making an ornament. As usual, we had quite a few tasks in class. We're coping with them as best we can. I wish you a good drawing. See you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.